What's up guys, and welcome back to episode number 3 of the F1 Legends career mode. We are going back-to-back days this week. So if you didn't check out yesterday's video, it was the Canadian Grand Prix, a smashing race. You guys seem to love it. So yeah, if you haven't checked that one out, then I will, leave a link down in the description to the playlist. So do go and check it out. But today, we are at the Circuit de Catalunya for round number 3. And a little spoiler alert for you guys, we are currently leading the Drivers' Championship, tied with Juan Manuel Fangio at the top. But this really isn't one of my favourite tracks, so it's going to be a very difficult race for Red Bull today. Myself and my teammates are probably going to struggle if sort of the performance from practice is anything to go by. But the sun is out for today's race, and there you can see Lewis Hamilton waiting on the grid for the start of the race. And there we are. And, well, I can tell you from the qualifying results, we are a long way down on the grid. There you can see the top 12, and we are nowhere to be seen. So it was Sebastian Vettel, our teammate, who in fact took pole. So, the car obviously has some pace, but we're just not taking advantage of it. He's on the front row alongside Juan Manuel Fangio, Niki Lauda, and Schumacher make up the second row for Ferrari, with Ayrton Senna just in behind. Also making it into the top 10 are the Brawn, is the Brawn of Rubens Barrichello once again. Button just missing out. And I know a lot of you guys in the comments are really enjoying the, watching the performance of the Brawn cars. But as we go now into the bottom half of the grid, that is where we lie. We are in 13th position, so really poor qualifying from myself. Lining up behind Alan Jones, who of course had that spectacular engine failure last time out in Canada. Once again, it's the sort of Tyrrells, Brabhams and Renaults propping up the grid, with also Lotus struggling. Both of their cars are below us. But yeah, it's all lining up for a great Grand Prix, and now we're going to get out onto the formation lap. And we are starting on the medium compound of tyres. Obviously, starting outside of the top 10 leaves us with that flexibility on the tyre strategy. And I'm pretty sure everybody, well, obviously everyone in the top 10 is starting on the softs because it was a dry qualifying. And 2 places in front of us, Jenson Button is starting on the mediums as well. So I think us two are going to be the ones to look out for early on. But there you can see on your right hand side the Drivers' Championship. And as I stated, it's myself and Fangio at the top. But Niki Lauda is definitely one to watch. He got involved in a collision last time out, so yeah, he will surely be prowling in this race. Andretti, also fresh off his victory last time, is on 25 points. But as the front runners line up on the grid, you can see it is Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren at the front of the grid. But here we go, we're revving up to the 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix here, and away we go on the medium tyres. It's going to be difficult to get a good start, but Alan Jones, who's on the soft tyres, has completely bogged down behind Rubens Barrichello, and in fact the medium tyres look as if they're the ones to be on, because myself and Button have got a great start. We're a little bit tentative into turn 1, but we still do manage to go around the outside of the Williams of Alan Jones, and there's a Ferrari in the lead. I believe it's Niki Lauda, and there's a Brawn that's gone across the track there, and there has been contacts between the 2 Brawn cars, I believe, of Button and Barrichello, and there's a virtual safety car deployed. We have to jam on the brakes. We've in fact gained the place on Button, so we're going to have to give that one back. The game actually doesn't seem to want us to give the place back, but in order of, being sporting and whatnot, we're going to let Button through. There's no point in trying to cheat the system at all. But anyway, we're going to take a look at what happened here. So it's Button on the inside, Barrichello on the outside, and Barrichello just gets squeezed out. And in fact, it was the Lotus of Jim Clark who ended up worst off, because you would have seen his front wing just sort of went flying. So he is now at the back of the grid. Barrichello is in 15th, but as we take a replay at the front of the grid of the start, you can see Lauda from P3 has gone all the way up into the lead. He started directly behind Sebastian Vettel on the grid and got a much better start, got in his slipstream and is up into P1. So, yeah, not a great start from Vettel once again, losing the lead on the first lap. But as the virtual safety car now ends at the end of lap 1, you can see the cars streaming through once again. We've managed to go on the inside of Button. It doesn't quite move at that, we can't quite make the move at that corner, but at the final chicane, we do manage to do so. We leave Button the room, get quite a lot of wheel spin on the exit, but we are up into P10, although our exit off that final corner is definitely going to be compromised as a result, and Button may have another look down the inside of us. We're up into a points-paying position at the moment, but it's going to be difficult to keep it into turn 1. We do manage to fend them off, but Alan Jones gets his elbows out there. He's taking no prisoners. He wants to be scoring points this afternoon after the disappointment last time, and he is now up into P11 ahead of Jenson Button at the start of lap 2. And the goal for us at the moment is just going to be to try and close up to those cars ahead. Mario Andretti being the first of them, obviously fresh off his victory, as I mentioned earlier, as Niki Lauda sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on lap 2. And you can see Alan Jones is going to take a look down our inside. It's like deja vu from Canada. He's on the softer tyres and he's going down the inside of us. Is he going to be able to make the move stick? No, we brake later. And, well, for what this Red Bull lacks in straight line speed, it more than makes up for under braking. And we really did get late on the brakes there, but no lockup. And no problems whatsoever at the moment. So Andretti is definitely getting closer. And as we look further up the grid, you can see Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel going at it for P2. And it is Michael Schumacher who comes out on top. He gets the place on his fellow countrymen, and it is now a Ferrari 1-2, and now we're on board on the same lap with Ayrton Senna, and he passes the McLaren of Juan Manuel Fangio, and it looks as if his teammate Lewis Hamilton is going down the inside of him as well. An awful, awful lap for Juan Manuel Fangio, and he is down another position. And as we skip on to the next lap of the Grand Prix, it is now Lewis Hamilton going down the inside of his hero Ayrton Senna up into P4. And Fangio has been passed by Hakkinen this time. You may have seen it in the background there. So it was basically two moves in one corner. And Nigel Mansell also looking to go down the inside of the Argentine. And, well, Fangio is just going backwards in this Grand Prix. So it's only lap 4, and all of this has already been happening. And now we go back on board with ourselves. And there's a big, big lockup there from Fangio. He's definitely struggling on these tyres. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out for him as the Grand Prix goes on. But we're just trying to set ourselves up for a move. And to be honest, we're not too concerned as to whether we're going to make a move at the moment, because we've got plenty of time. We're on the harder tyres, of course, but if the opportunity does come, we'll go down the inside. Andretti has run wide. He's outbraked himself at that corner, as you can see. We take the chance, and it looks as if the Williams of Alan Jones is trying to follow us through as well. He does just that, but Andretti is not going to give up without a fight. He's on the inside, and is he going to be able to make the move? Yes, he does. Jones runs wide at that corner, so there is really not a lot of grip on this track, it has to be said. I believe the air temperature is about 16 or 17 degrees, so it's very, very cold out on track, which would explain why these tyres just aren't really gripping to the surface. And there's a lot of drivers who are really, really struggling, even on the soft tyres at this early stage. But Nigel Mansell and also another car, I think it was Mika Hakkinen, have decided to come in. Sorry, no, it's Senna. Both of those have decided to come into the pit lane very, very early on lap 5. And now we are up behind Juan Manuel Fangio, who was up in P4 not that long ago. And now us, on the medium tyres, are going to be fighting with him. But, yeah, a lot of cars on lap 6 also coming into the pit lane, one of which is our teammate. And that tells me that a lot, if not all of the drivers, are going to be on a 2-stopper. Now, our plan for this race is going to be to do a 1-stopper, start on these mediums, try and go as long as possible, and then go onto the hard tyres. I'm not sure whether Jenson Button's going to do the same, but he looks as if he's actually following us through now. He looks as if he's got a really, really good run over the last couple of laps. And Fangio peels into the pit lane at the end of lap 6. We do manage to get the DRS off him. But, yeah, Jenson Button, I looked behind there and I didn't even realise how close the 2009 World Champion was to me. And he looked as if he'd just sort of maybe taken a step back, you know, for a couple of laps while I was fighting with those cars. He's just sort of stepped back, stayed out of the dirty air, and is now using these few laps to try and take advantage and overtake us. But it's only lap 8 at the moment. We're not even a third of the way through this Grand Prix, and there's been a lot of action, especially at the front. We're currently leading this Grand Prix, with myself, Button, and Fittipaldi yet to pit in this Grand Prix. So, I believe all of us are probably going to be on the same strategy, I'd imagine, seeing as we have started on these medium tyres. It would very much make sense, you know, we've got the clean air now, Well, Button hasn't at the moment, but he may do if he passes us on this straight. He's got a brilliant run out of there. He's definitely got more grip on these tyres at the same stage as us. And yeah, he's made the pass into turn 1. Are we going to be able to hang it around the outside? It looks as if Button has locked up. He has indeed, and he has completely bottled that. Just as you thought that he got the move done. You know, he'd overtaken us even before the braking zone, so it was very, very surprising to see him lock up and for us to be able to get through. But I'm sure he'll give it another go at the end of lap 9, and as I thought, he is right up behind us, right up our gearbox. And you can see that left front tyre of ours is taking a real punishing. A lot of corners around here, you know, really do push the lateral G-force on the drivers and, of course, on the tyres as well. But less of that, more of the racing, and Button has once again gone down our inside, and he hasn't locked up this time, but you could just see how much the brakes are glowing, you know, into that heavy braking zone of turn 1, but he still does manage to get the move done on us. We're just going to try and hang on to his tail, you know, maybe follow him around, and you can just see in the background there, Fittipaldi is also catching up on the pair of us. We've been squabbling for a few laps now, so the Lotus man will be very much enjoying this, as it's putting him right into contention. But yeah, as I said, we're just going to try and keep behind Button, but we've completely lost it on the exit of that corner. No real grip on the tyres, and it takes us till the end of the lap to really get a chance to go down the inside of Button. We make a diving move down the inside. Fortunately, the fellow Brit does leave us the room. It is brilliant racing in this Grand Prix with Jenson Button, but he holds his own through that corner, and the Brawn car stays ahead at the start of lap 11. A lot of you guys won't be rooting for me. You'll be rooting for Button, I know that. And I can't really blame you, to be honest. It's a beautiful looking car, and I'm really, really glad that Button has finally got into his stride in this series. But anyway, at the end of lap 11, we're a third of the way through the Grand Prix, and Button is in the pits. So that's a pretty early stop if he's going for the one-stopper. And I believe he's actually fitting the soft tyres, so it looks as if he's still going for a two-stopper. And at this point, I wasn't aware that he'd actually gone onto the softs. And I can see Fittipaldi behind me. I'm thinking, you know what, I'm just going to come into the pit lane, fit these hard tyres, and, you know, hopefully be able to run to the end of the Grand Prix. So we jam on the brakes, and we actually go into the pit wall, and you can see a little bit of our front wing. A little bit of end plate actually come off as we come into the pit lane. So it was a very scruffy entry for us, but we do fit the hard tyres, and we're going to have to do the final 21 laps of this Grand Prix on that tyre. And you can see we tumble down the order. Of course, I believe we came into the pits, we were in about a net P9, I believe, and now we are actually ahead of Ayrton Senna, so he came in very early, and it looks as if there was a Renault behind him, so he must have got caught up in traffic. Jenson Button is ahead of us, pretty unsurprisingly, seeing as he fitted the soft tyres, but we're not too concerned with fighting the likes of Button at this stage of the race, because of course he will have to make another pit stop, as will the likes of Ayrton Senna, as he is in P8. And we're just going to take a look at the order. So it's Fernando Alonso in P9 and Prost in P10. They are yet to pit. They're on the hard tyres. Jackie Stewart also yet to pit in the Tyrrell in P11. And then Fangio in P12 and Hamilton in 13th have lost a hell of positions in that stage of the race. Nigel Mansell as well. We've managed to jump him in the pits. He's in 14th. Farina in 15th and Andretti in 16th. I believe both of those have pitted, so they're still in contention to try and score some points this afternoon. But up ahead are the... sorry, that was behind us. It wasn't Jackie Stewart. It was actually Jody Scheckter. Because Jackie Stewart has actually come into the pit lane now. So he was fighting with Jenson Button, but now we are fighting with Ayrton Senna once again. Not for the first time in this series. We are trying to fight with the three-time world champion from Brazil, as he actually does overtake us. And I can tell you, at this stage of the race, these hard tyres felt absolutely horrible. I was just literally getting no grip, and it sort of ties in with the fact that the track temperature is very low. And I could just get no turning. It just felt really, really horrible on my wheel. So yeah, a bit of a baffling one there. And when I knew that we had to go all the way to the end on these tyres, I was a little bit scared and sceptical as to whether they'd be able to do it. But we get a little cutback there on Senna. thought better of making the move into the penultimate corner. But we've set ourselves up for a DRS overtake. We've got the engine power, it looks as if, over the McLaren Honda. And we're going to stick in the slipstream. Oh, we're going to be able to make a move down the inside. We dive it down there. And as I've said before, the brakes on this Red Bull are remarkable. And we make the move on the Brazilian. And, well, we're just exchanging positions at the moment. And he comes back at us at lap 15. And at this sort of midway stage of the race, it was very much a battle between myself and Senna. You know, in one DRS zone, he'd make up a position, and in the other DRS zone, I'd be able to get back at him. So I wasn't trying to, you know, waste too much time. But as you can see up ahead, Emerson Fittipaldi, who pitted at the end of lap 15, has jumped us in that pit phase. And he is also on the hard tyres, so he's on the one stop. So if we're going to finish ahead of him, we're going to have to overtake him on track, as Senna once again goes down the inside of us. This is a relentless battle at the moment, as we've got Prost and Alonso behind us at the moment. But I don't believe either of them have pitted at this stage. And we dive it down the inside of Senna, and we completely lock up. We just, like I say, we've just got no grip on these hard tyres, so that has really cost us, as there's a massive snake of cars being held up by the two Renaults. But that has really compromised us, because you can see Fittipaldi now getting away ahead of us, and that is the last thing we needed. That Lotus car is pretty quick in race trim this weekend. Obviously, Jim Clark got taken out at turn 1, but Fittipaldi has just slowly gone about his business. He started down in P17, I believe, but he's very much come into this race as it's gone on, and I believe Jenson Button may now be in the pit lane. Yes, he is. So Mika Hakkinen as well has come into the pits, and we are up into P2. In P3 is Schumacher, P4 is Vettel, and in P5 is Jenson Button. And Button is in the slipstream of Vettel. He's going to go down the inside, and that is a lovely move once again from the Brawn, which is very much coming into its own this weekend. And, well, it's never been said in the history of Formula 1 that Brawn had a very slow start to the season. But they did this season in the F1 Legends career. But as you can see in the following lap, Vettel goes back down the inside of Button. And just prowling behind is Mika Hakkinen. I believe he's on the hard tyres at the moment. But now you can see, with 11 laps to go, Michael Schumacher is in the pit lane. So that has completely ruined his race. His teammate Lauda is still out in the front, out at the front. But once again, the strategy at Ferrari has been very questionable on Schumacher's side of the garage. So he has dropped well down the order, and Sebastian Vettel has now taken P4. And to be honest, not much really happened in that mid-stage of the race. Or sort of like the second third of the race almost. And Fittipaldi, we just could not close up to him. And as a result, we were pretty vulnerable behind to Sebastian Vettel. We were pushing and pushing our tyres, and unfortunately it looks as if it's come back to bite us, because our teammate is on fresher rubber, and he's going to just go down our inside. You can see how much he gained on the in the final sector. We try and come back at him, but it is no use, and Sebastian Vettel has overtaken us for the final podium position in this race, and it is absolutely gutting for us that this has happened. And you can just see that he's going to go off into the distance now by the looks of it. And, well, there's not much we can really do apart from just try and fight and get this position back. We're going to dive one down the inside, and is it going to work? Are we going to be able to keep all four wheels inside the track limits? I think that front left wheel was just about in the confines of the circuit, but it was no use because Vettel just countered us down the inside. He almost did the switchback move, and we're just locking up everywhere now, and it's pretty impossible for us to be able to do anything. Lap 33 now, and we've just got one more DRS zone to try and make a move on the four-time world champion that is our teammate. Can we finish ahead of him in this Grand Prix? No, we are just too far back by the looks of it. 0.6 of a second is what we had to make up, and once again we lock up, unfortunately. But as we go through this turn, you can see Niki Lauda takes his second victory of the season for Ferrari. It's 50 points in the bag for him over the course of the 3 races. But shout out to Emerson Fittipaldi, who, to be fair to him, I will hold my hands up, he just did a better strategy than me. He sort of left the car out for a few more laps, and he will be taking P2 in this race. Our teammate P3 and ourselves in P4. Far from a disaster, but it is definitely not as good as it could have been. But to be fair, we started all the way down in 13th. That man, though, who started third, Niki Lauda, is taking his second victory of the season, as I said. And the Ferrari boys are looking pretty happy in the garage, and so they should be. Another brilliant win for the Maranello team. And there is the final result. As you can see, and as I've said, it's Lauda, Fittipaldi and Vettel in the top three. Fittipaldi, you know, just doing that one stopper really, really well. Schumacher did 3 stops in the race, which would explain what happened to him. Hakkinen and Button, really, really good points for them. Jensen gets off the mark, as does Ayrton Senna in 10th. And there you can see the bottom half of the order. No retirees from this race. And I believe the first race as well that we haven't had a safety car. Pretty disappointing for Alan Jones down in 18th as well. But there we can see the drivers' standings. Niki Lauda retakes the lead after a disappointing race in Canada. He is 8 clear of myself on 42 points, with Fangio slipping down to 3rd, Vettel up to 4th, Andretti falling to 5th, Schumacher 6th, Fittipaldi 7th, Hakkinen, Mansell and Hamilton also rounding out the top 10. Pretty disappointing race for Hamilton, no points for him this afternoon. But yeah, the constructors' standings, it is Ferrari on top at the moment, ahead of Red Bull, Mercedes and Alfa. But well, that is the end of episode 3 of the F1 Legends career mode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I most certainly did. Leave a like down below if you did enjoy it. Comment your thoughts on the race. But until my next video, guys, do take care. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.